Welcome! Today, as you wander through our beautiful gardens, we invite you to remember that it is water and our ability to use its life-giving power that makes it possible for us to call this Alamitos, the ranch of the little cottonwoods. You see, cottonwoods grow where water is plentiful, and that's where our story begins.
As a history buff, this map says it all. From time immemorial, two rivers flowed from the mountains to the sea. Today we know them as the Los Angeles and the San Gabriel rivers, and together they form the floodplain that Long Beach was founded on. Adapting to the natural cycle of droughts and floods, these rivers constantly change course as the amount of water in them rose and fell.
We live in a crowded place with millions of people around us. Concrete can be seen for miles, and water flows from every faucet, making it easy to forget that this once was a floodplain where the natural cycle of floods and droughts impacted the choices people made to stay alive and thrive.
The Rancho Los Alamitos, as it's referred to today, is so special and sacred because of the stories that are connected to it. There were springs all over the Los Angeles basin that we don't see anymore. The cleanest, safest forms of water were going to be in those springs and those artesian wells. My Tongva ancestors survived for not a few hundred years that way, but for thousands of generations. We didn't find the spring found us.
As I've researched the area, I've found maps that show how the levels of water have changed dramatically as more of us have come to live here.
When the Spanish arrived in California, they pushed the native inhabitants off their land and displaced them into other regions. The Spanish also brought new plants and animals like cows and sheep so they could feed their ever-growing population. The lush rivers and streams provided an abundance of water for the people and the animals on the land.
Over time, the land was divided and purchased by different families who began to dig wells in the underground aquifer. At one point in the 1890s, water in the area was so plentiful that an artesian well could create a geyser 80 feet in the air, but the rapid population growth at that time caused all of the aquifers to also deplete rapidly.
The next period of California history is really exciting. First, the entire California territory changed hands after the Mexican-American War of 1848. Second, gold was discovered in Northern California that very same year, bringing the greatest migration of people ever recorded in history to one area. To meet the demands of this population explosion, ranchers bought up land to expand their ever-growing cattle businesses. But it was the third, the Great Flood of 1861, and the incredible forces of nature and the subsequent drought that changed much of the state forever.
Just like the floods in the Midwest, the flooding in this area brought devastation, taking human lives, ruining farms, and drowning cattle in unimaginable numbers. The once profitable ranches, flowing with cash, now faced bankruptcy. Suddenly, new opportunities arose for families like the Bixbys.
The rancho belongs to the city of Long Beach now, but every time I drive through the front gates, I still think of it as home. The trees, the beauty of the gardens, the way it's laid out, the buildings, they all have memories. It started in 1878 when my great-grandparents leased the property, and in 1881 they purchased it with two other partners, and then we gave it to the city in 1968. So we've had 90 years of family occupancy, and then since then, people have been here or working here or living here continuously since that time.
So it's been a tradition. The rancho itself is a place full of life, with a lot of work, a lot of tears, a lot of joy, and tremendous challenges.
As the Bixbys settled into life on the growing ranch, the area around them began experiencing dramatic changes, with many towns springing up. Los Angeles became a large metropolitan area. By 1910, there were already 17,000 people calling Long Beach home, and 300,000 in Los Angeles County, needing water to keep them alive and able to pursue their dreams. Open land, once used for grazing cattle, gave way to housing tracts and large developments, attracting even more residents.
As the population grew, the demand for water also grew. The underground water table was being used up far faster than annual rainfall and snowmelt could replace it. Accessing and distributing a diminishing supply of water to more people became a huge challenge.
By the early 1900s, there were several water companies who ran a business accessing and distributing water. Soon it became clear that to become a proper city with real boundaries, water distribution needed to be controlled by one company. By 1911, the city had purchased several of these smaller companies and started a city-wide department, the Long Beach Water Department. At the same time, the local oil boom of the 1920s almost tripled the population of the city. This growth required the drilling of more wells, drawing an ever-increasing amount of water and causing the water tables throughout the entire region to rapidly begin drying up. By 1931, when the city of Long Beach voted to join the Metropolitan Water District's project to bring water from the Colorado River to Los Angeles, it was clear to many local residents that more water was needed.
My grandfather, Fred Bixby, he believed that the water would last forever. It had been there for hundreds of years. Why wouldn't it still stay there? But he didn't want anything to change, so he was not in favor of the project.
Although Fred Bixby continued to oppose the project to import water, the need would eventually affect even the Bixby Ranch. By the 1950s, the water level in the wells on the ranch had dropped so far that the decision was made to connect to the city water system.
Today, our primary water source is groundwater, supplemented by purchased water like that comes from the Colorado River, which is imported through a maze of concrete canals and tunnels that start 242 miles away. It's that same system that was conceived in the 1930s by visionaries that were looking to solve the water crisis that loomed during that time.
Here at Rancho Los Alamitos, we never forget that it was water that brought the first settlers here, or that it was the cause of great prosperity, as well as ruin for those who came before us. Today, reliable, clean, high-quality drinking water is a foundation of our Long Beach community.
The cycle of floods and droughts in Long Beach continues to this day, while our demand for water continues to escalate. At the Water Department, we are committed to finding solutions and implementing those solutions before it becomes a devastating crisis once again. Already with climate change, there are places in the world where there's not enough water. I think one of the things that we have learned from our past in Long Beach is that we cannot take water for granted.
So we have an important lesson to learn here at Rancho Los Alamitos from Fred Bixby and the many generations who came before and after to live, work, and play here. And the lesson is this: we, each of us, must act responsibly to support a sustainable lifestyle. And that means saving water every day. As the past has shown us, it is the Long Beach way. And now, it is up to us. So let's be ready.